how influential was your father in getting you to this point?
I don't even know where to begin with that. I think in so many ways, just the impact that he's been able to have on my life, both on and off the court. Yeah, obviously very easy to say I wouldn't be here without him. But yeah, there's all the support, all the wisdom, all the love throughout the process. Yeah, it's a blessing. Super grateful for that for sure. So.
Fonz, do you remember a moment, or do you remember something that might have happened with Walt where you knew he could make it as a basketball player?
I remember Walter didn't play basketball when he was growing up. He actually hated it. So he would never like participate with his older two brothers in any drills that we were doing. And I recall when we moved to South Bend, Indiana, peer pressure, his new classmates, like, he was tall, so like, Walter, you gotta come and play, you gotta come play. He's like, I don't like basketball. But he finally acquiesced, and Jennifer and I went to one of his games, and he had an unusual coordination for his size and was really quick laterally and side to side and could really cover some ground, and just had a really good instincts on the defensive end. And I remember tapping my wife Jennifer. I was like, Jen, I know Walt doesn't like basketball, but if he ever decides that he wants to play, I think he's got a shot.
Well, when did you decide?
It was really fifth grade. It was, yeah, I don't know if this is a nationwide thing. We have upward basketball in Indiana, so that's like a little like, yeah, Christian, like kind of church league kind of vibe, if that makes sense. So that was the first start that I ever had like playing. And I think like he said, I was always around basketball. So even when he would be coaching my brother and his teams and all that stuff, I'd always have my little mini ball and I'd be shooting on the hoop. So I was always kind of around it. It's not like I'd never shot a basketball before. Obviously I would hop in our little backyard shooting games and stuff like that. But I didn't have an interest in playing competitively at that point. There were other sports that I was involved with. We lived in Minneapolis at the time when he had finished up with the Timberwolves, so I was playing hockey and all that kind of stuff. And
he was a goalie, a big goalie.
Yeah, so with all that, I was really good at football at the time too. Yeah, I literally played every sport you can think of, but never had played basketball competitively. And I think I got to that age where I was tall enough and guys were like, why are you not playing basketball? And then all my friends were like, yeah, to kind of stay in the front, you got to be able to play basketball. So ended up doing that, and then yeah, kind of just fell in love with it after that. There were a lot of guys who they had started playing a lot earlier than me, so I always felt I was a little bit behind, literally until the last 12 months, even if that makes sense. But yeah, I think by now, just really excited to kind of keep moving forward with it. So.
And I always said to him that if he could shoot it and defend, he'd have a chance. And you know, most people, especially during that time, because everybody wanted combo guards. Everybody wanted guards who can shake and do that with the ball. And I was like, Walt, you're late to the game, but you'll catch up at some point. If you can shoot and defend, you've got a shot. He bought into it, and we're grateful to God for the opportunity that's availed for him.
That was really a conversation in like 8th grade too, because that was when I actually like really started to like basketball, and I also got pretty good at it relatively quick too. And I think a lot of it obviously is instinctual too, just watching basketball for years and years, and even watching his games and watching my brother playing all that kind of stuff. But 8th grade, I remember we sat down in the living room at our house in Indiana. I was like, not like that. I want to go for it if I can. Like, I'd love to be able to play. I just said the simple statement, I just want to be able to make money playing basketball at whatever capacity. That would be great. And that's when there were a lot of my teammates, even and friends, who were kind of also ranked around the same kind. And this is like 8th grade high school ranking. Nobody really cares about that stuff. But the combo guard wave around college coaches was pretty like, that was like the cool thing at that time. And I remember I was like, Dad, like I got to be able to handle, I got to be able to do this. And he's like, but you're late to it. Like, you're only a couple years into it. Like, you're already tall enough. If you can shoot and you can guard, somebody's going to be able to need that. And then, yeah, I think that's kind of just been what's got me in the door. And then now, yeah, we'll kind of see where it takes off from here. So, yeah.
And at 6'5" at the time, though, I'm like, Walter, do you know that 6'5" dudes who can catch a football outside of their area and have some speed to them, you know the kind of money that they can make in the NFL? And he's like, yes, I'm aware, but Dad, I really want to pursue basketball and see how far it can take me.
I was better at football than I was at basketball when I stopped playing. Like, I played all the way up until I played freshman and sophomore year in high school, and I literally never trained for football. Like, and this isn't like a brag, it was just, I didn't enjoy it on the kind of level that I did basketball, but like, I was a 6'5" receiver who could run, jump, and catch, and I think I was second team all conference as a sophomore, and our team was loaded that year. We had guys that went to play like really high level football, and I remember Bowling Green in Miami of Ohio, they came in the spring of my sophomore year, and we had a new football coach that was coming in, and sadly he was actually more of a passing coach than my first coach was, so I kind of missed out on that. But he was like, hey, like, these coaches want to come talk to you, and they were like, yeah, like, they threw out I think Ohio State. They're like, you're like an Ohio State, like, kind of that's where you're tracking towards. But he's like, we want to get in with you early just to be able to like offer you a scholarship, all that kind of stuff. And then I I remember sitting with him. I was like, Coach, like I'm going to be honest, this is actually my last year playing football. And I remember the new coach. He was like, what are you doing? I was like, I knew at that time I was done with it, but that was a risky decision at the time because I definitely think until the last couple months I thought that might have been a bad decision financially. But yeah, I think now it's hopefully working out, trending that way anyway. So.
Yeah, we're hoping you're right where you're supposed to be. That sort of thing.
Hopefully.
All right, so you're rocking the LaPhonso Ellis Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
How cool is it for you to be associated and have an opportunity with a team that your dad obviously was so connected to?
Yeah, it's a blessing. I don't even want to say it was a dream come true because I never really even thought it was a possibility. Like I said, when I wanted to start playing basketball seriously, being in the NBA wasn't even on my radar. Even if we backtrack literally 12 months ago, like I had an MBA I got my Master's of Business Administration from GCU. I got my undergrad from Bucknell in 3 years. Like I was ready to wrap it up and do wealth management. That was kind of my plan. But yeah, got into the system a little bit. Was a summer league with Detroit last year, and then yeah, had to wait it out. I think that was a weird time after summer league and between summer league and the G League draft, just because my agent's telling me like, no, like you'll be good in the G League, you'll be good, and then my trainers are saying the same thing, but I'm like, I averaged 5 points at GCU. Like, I don't know if anybody's going to really take a chance on me. And then the one open trial that I happened to go to was the Grand Rapids Gold. And, yeah, my agent just thought that was probably the best one. It's the one that's closest to home in South Bend, Indiana. And that was the only one that I went to. Played pretty well. And then a draft day, I ended up getting a call from them. And I remember I called him right after. I was like, did you have anything to do with that? He's like, I swear. He's like, all the people that I knew, they're gone. I don't know any of these people here. So, like, that's all God right there. So I think just how there's been a lot of full circle moments, especially in the last 2 years. Like we talked about with the NCAA tournament, being able to share so many moments with him there, and then being able to get into the Nuggets system, and then now be able to have a Nuggets jersey on. Like, yeah, I can't even make this stuff up. So yeah, super grateful to be here, obviously.
Yeah, Fonz, when you realized that that was a reality for your family, your son would be wearing a Denver Nuggets uniform, what were some of the thoughts that went through your mind?
Well, I try, when I talk about Walter, I try not to get choked up for a variety of reasons, but to just even watching him play last night, cheering on his teammates and to see him with the Nuggets jersey on with Ellis on the back and his number 9, it's like a surreal moment. And he alluded to earlier, and it happened a year ago when his Grand Canyon team made it to the NCAA tournament and faced Gonzaga at Ball Arena on the floor. And the fact that he actually got a chance to go into the Nuggets locker room and got to see Sparky and yes, and Lisa Johnson and obviously got a chance to meet Nick O'Hare and to just kind of see that and have my wife and me and his older brother, our second oldest brother, our daughter-in-law and our granddaughter all taken in that moment in Ball Arena, it's a real surreal moment. And I don't think I've still really have been able to take in the magnitude of what all that meant. But it's becoming more and more real, having had the opportunity to watch him last year at the Gold, because we only live about 2 hours away. So we caught about 14 of his games, about 10 to 12 at home, and then we caught him on the road in Detroit and Indiana. And it's I don't know if you can make this stuff up. And I couldn't be more proud of him.
Well, you mentioned at practice a couple days ago that you guys don't play very much anymore against each other. But did you ever play against each other? Did you ever have even shooting competitions, anything like that?
For sure, shooting competitions. That's we in our backyard. Whenever my brother's in town, we'll go 5 makes each spot, and whoever gets to 25 first around the perimeter, that's who wins the day. And those get pretty competitive too, because even though my brother, he stopped playing basketball after his sophomore year in high school, his joke is in our family, like if your last name's Ellis, you can shoot the ball. Like my mom will even step in sometimes. I swear, she doesn't even touch. I promise you, she doesn't touch a basketball. She doesn't know what's going on. And whatever, she'll sitting there with her nails done and everything like that, shoot a free throw, and it's like water. We're like, what is that? So I think with all of us, we would have so many shooting games and things like that. That's what we would do. But yeah, I think for him, he had a whole bunch of surgeries that kind of prevented his career from being what we all thought it could have been. But so yeah, I think with that, we just never really were too competitive in the sense of like, ooh, I want to beat my dad. It was never really about that. But no, we'll do a lot of shooting games for sure. That's definitely what we were doing. Joke around, doing some post-up games and everything like that. 'Cause I think I told you in an interview the other day, it's like his post-up game is still works. So, yeah, for
That
sure.
hook shot is still there.
Can't take away. Hey, kick guard 6'8" in the post with a nice hook shot. Can't do that. So.
Fonzie had also mentioned he felt like he could probably outshoot you, but in terms of athleticism and you back in your heyday when you were dunking, you were able to get up more than he can get up.
I don't
Do
know
you
about
agree
after
with that?
today.
He had a nice one today, though, in traffic against the 7-footer, which is impressive. But we've always said I was probably the higher leaper in the family, but he and PJ and then my oldest son, Fonzo, they outshoot me on any day, and I'm grateful for that. So I think we would have been a good team, though, with his ability to be able to stretch the floor, throwing it inside. If I could command a double team, I can kick it back out to his side, and that would be great.
That is what we always said, though, actually, because I told you we play every Christmas when we were all in town. We were playing other family gym,
That's
and all
true.
of our close friends and family, we would go up to our church gym, and we would always play like that was our thing every single year. And that's when one year we ended up on the same team, to a lot of people's dismay. But it was, yeah, I think with that, that's when we were like, we'd have been really nice if we were on the same like high school and college teams. Like, you're the type of big I want to play with. He's like, you're the type of guard I want to play with. So, yeah.
Amazing. One of the other things that stood out about our conversation at practice was Walt talked a little bit about your ability to wear your dad hat and wear your coach hat and how well you balanced that. How difficult was that for you?
It's the grace of God. I've had a bunch of men who've poured into my life and read a lot of books about how to be a solid dad. And for we who have the opportunity to be able to coach our kids, we got to be very careful that distinction. I'm always his dad, but under that, I'm also his coach, and I can't allow my coaching to interfere with our dadhood. So what I always told him and his brothers is once we leave the 94 feet, well, there wasn't 94 feet, there's more 86, once we leave the gym, I'm not your coach anymore, I'm your dad. So if y'all want to talk hoop and that kind of thing on the way home, how to improve and all that, great. But you'll never hear me go at the middle of, while we're eating dinner, go, hey Walt, why didn't you? That's not gonna happen. And so I'm grateful for the wisdom that God gave me, because I didn't want that intermingled. And you know, it's tough enough raising kids and the pressure that they put on themselves internally because they want to be good kids and represent their families well. I didn't want to add to that with the expectation that comes with a son who's especially had a dad who played in the league and is now his coach. I didn't want our kids to have to deal with that. So I'm grateful that we've navigated that well.
Okay, final question for each of you. Well, what do you want your dad to know about how he helped you and the person that he's made you along your journey?
I feel like I could write a book. I think first, even just starting out, like not even putting the pressure on me to play basketball. I think that was big just because I was really able to find the love for the game on my own. And I think like he just said, some kids when they grow up in that kind of shadow, they probably already feel that pressure just because they kind of want to live up to that. And I never really had to deal with that. But twofold, he was content with his career. Even for us, like we know he was on track to be an all-star before he started getting hurt, and even multiple times was on pace for a really, really big contract that just never really happened to come because of injuries. But even with all of that, there was never any pressure for my career or him trying to live through me. And I think with a lot of pro kids, you see that a lot where there might be some insecurity that's left over from their parents' career, where then every kind of issue is kind of a reflection of their parent, you know, and I just never really had to deal with that. So anytime I'm going into a gym, even if he's there watching and there's people that obviously make the connection, even say here, I don't feel that pressure because I've been able to kind of navigate my own career and go through what I needed to go through to be able to get here. And then he's kind of just, again, that kind of supporting role on behind the scenes. So I think that's obviously the main thing. But yeah, I think also too, it even extends so far outside of basketball, just all the wisdom that I've been able to get from him and my mom, because I was the youngest. A lot of my brothers and sisters were out of the house by the time I was around like middle school age. So we got a lot of time as I was growing into a young adult to like really ask those questions. I think we've always had such a vulnerability between me, my mom, and my dad, where they've been able to be really real with me about stuff that they struggled with when they were my age, even going all the way back to high school. So even now at this current stage of life right now, with all of the many new things that I'm experiencing and all that kind of stuff, I'm always able to just send them a text without any judgment. And there's so many topics that we talk about and just glean wisdom from them. And half the time that I spend at home, we literally will sit on the couch from, I kid you not, we'll have dinner at 7 and we'll sit on the couch from 7 until 1 in the morning just talking about Lord knows what, you know what I'm saying? So I think just because of all those conversations that we've been able to have, just super grateful to have been able to have them on this path because, yeah, I would have probably been off track a long time ago if I didn't have them in my corner. So just super grateful and blessed to have that.
And Fonz, what do you want Walter to know about how far he's come and where he's still going?
Well, he's already aware that he's my earthly hero. 6 years ago, I almost lost my wife, and if it weren't for Walter being calm under pressure and doing what he should do at that time, we don't know if she would actually be here with us. To be able to see his mom in the situation that she was and to be able to calmly jump over the bed, grab his phone, dial 911, and doing what he could to try to keep her calm under the circumstances, he became my earthly hero right away. And just to see him deal with different levels of adversity, whether it be illness, injury, it just seems like every single time going back to high school that he was right there on the precipice of breakthrough. He has a great April this summer before his senior year, balling. He's starting to get big time high major recognition. We're landing for the first weekend of the July period. He gets sick, has a stomach issue. He literally lost, if I remember correctly, 15 to 20 pounds over a 2-week period, and had all these coaches going, well, he's not the same guy that he was back in April. And I was hoping that my credibility as an analyst for college basketball would help carry over. And I'm like, he's sick. You can see it. You remember the dude who was really jacked back in April barely has any muscle in his skin at all right now. And then likewise, once he gets to college, having to deal with all kinds of adversity that I'm not so sure I would have been able to handle and navigate through and come out on the positive side when I was his age. I just didn't have that level of maturity. I had a loving wife at that time and a loving group of in-laws who kind of helped me during my challenges, but he's much more mature at 18 to 22 than I ever was. And so to see him have to deal with different levels of adversity and not lose his sense of hope. And I know he loves Jesus and trusts Jesus, but still in the midst of all that, to not give up and to not get sour, to not become bitter, to continue to have a positive attitude. And as guys ask me about Fonz, what's Walter about? I think he has four NBA marketable skills that come to mind to me. We know he can shoot the rock, but there's those intangible things that make him special, and that regardless of whether he's playing or is not, or someone gets a contract or he doesn't, he's the same all the time. He's cheering for that dude no matter what. At his age, I would have been sulking and been upset because I didn't have my moment. And to just see the person and the young man that he's developed into, poised under pressure, faithful, hopeful, and just a really good all-around dude, along with being a really good basketball player. I couldn't be more proud of him. So this is the first time I've been able to talk about him without crying. So I just want to let you know I'm holding it back, but I couldn't be more proud of him. But he's my earthly hero, and it's not close.